A hushed room. All eyes on 11-year-old boy. Prince George steps to the microphone, his voice steady, his words bold. What he says next stuns Queen Camilla and sends shockwaves through the royal family. This is the speech that changed everything. The royal gala at Buckingham Palace was meant to be a routine affair. Glittering chandeliers, clinking glasses, and the usual parade of dignitaries exchanging polite smiles. Held in late 2025 to celebrate youth initiatives across the Commonwealth. The event was a showcase of the monarchy's commitment to the next generation. No one expected the night's defining moment to come from Prince George, the young heir's second in line to the throne. At just 11 years old, George was there to represent his father, Prince William, who was away on an official tour in Australia. The plan was simple. George would deliver a brief, pre-approved speech, smile for the cameras, and step back into the shadows. After all, he's a child, not a seasoned public figure. But what unfolded was anything but scripted. The audience included Queen Camilla, senior royals, and hundreds of guests, politicians, philanthropists, and youth advocates. As George approached the podium, a murmur rippled through the crowd. He's young, they thought. What could he possibly say that hasn't been said before? His small frame stood tall in a tailored suit, his expression calm but focused. The room fell silent. George began with the expected pleasantries, thanking attendees and acknowledging the importance of youth programs. His voice was clear, trained by years of royal tutoring. But then he veered off script. "I've been learning about the world," he said, pausing to let the words sink in. "And I've seen that not every child gets the same chances I do. That's not fair, and I want to help change it." He shared a story about meeting a young girl in a London charity program who couldn't afford school supplies. "She was smarter than me," he said with a small smile, "but she didn't have the same opportunities. Why should I have more just because of who I am?" Queen Camilla, seated at the head table, froze. Her face, usually composed, betrayed a flicker of surprise. Other royals exchanged glances. George wasn't just speaking. He was challenging the status quo. He called for action, not just promises. "We can't wait for someone else to fix things," he said. "The world is changing now, and we have to keep up." To understand why this moment was so extraordinary, we need to look at George's upbringing. Born on July 22, 2013, at St. Mary's Hospital in London, Prince George Alexander Louis of Wales has lived under intense scrutiny. As the eldest child of Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, he's been groomed for kingship since birth. But William and Kate have worked hard to give him a grounded childhood. They've enrolled him in Lambrook School, a coeducational day school in Berkshire, where he's treated like any other student. They've also exposed him to charity work, from food banks to environmental projects, hoping to instill a sense of duty beyond ceremonial pomp. George's speech reflected this upbringing. His words echoed his father's passion for mental health and his mother's focus on early childhood development. But there was something uniquely his own, a raw, unfiltered conviction that caught everyone off guard. Sources close to the palace say George had been preparing his speech for weeks, scribbling notes in his school notebook. He'd asked his parents if he could say what I really think. They agreed, though they didn't expect him to go this far. The historical context of the monarchy adds another layer to George's impact. The British royal family has faced turbulent times in recent years. The death of Queen Elizabeth II in 2022, King Charles III's health challenges, and the ongoing rift with Prince Harry have tested public support. Younger generations, in particular, question the monarchy's relevance in a modern, egalitarian world. George's speech was a direct response to that skepticism. He didn't defend the institution. He redefined it, positioning himself as a future king who listens, learns, and acts. Let's break down the speech itself. It lasted just under 5 minutes, but every word carried weight. George structured it like a story, beginning with gratitude, moving to personal reflection, and ending with a call to action. He used simple language, accessible to both the dignitaries in the room and the millions who'd later watch online. He avoided jargon, speaking directly to the heart of the issues. For example, on climate change, he said, "The planet is getting hotter, and it's our home." We have to protect it, not just for us, but for everyone who comes after. His delivery was equally compelling. Body language experts noted his poise, hands resting lightly on the podium, eyes scanning the audience, occasional pauses for emphasis. He didn't fidget or rush, despite being the youngest speaker in the room. This wasn't just a child reciting lines. It was a young leader finding his voice. Queen Camilla's reaction became a talking point. Cameras caught her sitting rigidly, her lips pursed, as George spoke. Was she shocked? Proud? Uncomfortable? Palace insiders suggest a mix of all three. Camilla, who has championed literacy and domestic violence initiatives, isn't used to being upstaged, especially by a child. Yet George's words aligned with her own causes, making her silence more intriguing. Some speculate she was processing the implications. A future king already carving his own path, perhaps overshadowing the current generation. The audience's response was immediate. Applause erupted as George stepped back from the podium, his face breaking into a shy smile. Social media exploded. Clips of the speech racked up millions of views within hours. On X, users praised George's courage, with hashtags like #PrinceGeorgeSpeech and #FutureKing trending globally. One post read, "This kid's 11 and already gets it. The monarchy might just survive." Critics, however, questioned whether George was being pushed too soon into the spotlight, arguing children should be shielded from such pressure. The speech's ripple effects didn't stop there. Within days, charities reported a surge in donations, dubbed the George Effect. Youth organizations tied to the Gala saw increased volunteer sign-ups. Politicians referenced George's words in parliamentary debates, urging action on child poverty and climate policies. Even international media took note, with outlets in the US, Australia, and Canada hailing George as a new voice for the Commonwealth. But what does this mean for George's future? At 11, he's already navigating a delicate balance. He's a child who loves football, video games, and family vacations. Yet he's also a global figure with expectations few can comprehend. His parents face a challenge: how to nurture his passion without overwhelming him. William and Kate have publicly emphasized their desire for George, Charlotte, and Louis to have normal childhoods. But moments like this speech make that harder. The monarchy's long-term survival may hinge on George's generation. His speech signaled a shift toward a more empathetic, action-oriented royalty. Unlike past heirs, who often stuck to ceremonial roles in their youth, George is engaging with real-world issues early. This aligns with broader trends. Younger audiences demand authenticity and impact from public figures, royal or not. George's ability to connect on those terms could redefine the crown's role in the 21st century. Let's consider the broader implications. The Commonwealth, a voluntary association of 56 nations, has faced questions about its relevance post-Queen Elizabeth II. George's speech, with its focus on global challenges, positioned him as a unifying figure for younger Commonwealth citizens. His mention of inequality resonated in countries like India and Nigeria, where youth populations are booming. If George continues this trajectory, he could strengthen ties where his predecessors struggled. Back at the Gala, the night continued with other speeches and performances, but George's moment lingered. Guests approached him afterward, offering praise and advice. He listened politely, though aides say he was eager to rejoin his siblings, Charlotte and Louis, who'd watched from a private balcony. For them, George was just their big brother, not a history maker. The speech also sparked discussions about the royal family's internal dynamics. King Charles III, recovering from a recent health scare, wasn't present, but reports suggest he watched a recording and was immensely proud. Prince William, upon returning from Australia, reportedly told George, "You said what needed to be said." Kate, ever protective, ensured George had time to decompress after the event, shielding him from media frenzy. One question remains: was George's speech a one-off, or the start of something bigger? Palace sources hint he's keen to do more, though his parents are cautious. His next public appearance, at a climate-focused event in early 2026, may offer clues. For now, George has set a new standard, not just for royals, but for young people everywhere. His message was clear: age doesn't limit impact. As the gala drew to a close, the crowd mingled under the palace's gilded ceilings. Conversations buzzed about trade deals, charity pledges, and diplomatic ties. But the real story was the boy who'd stood before them, unafraid to speak truth. Prince George didn't just steal the show. He redefined what it means to be royal in a world that's watching. Days later, a private meeting at Kensington Palace. George sits with his parents, a notebook open. They're planning something new, something bold. What's next for the young prince? The world is waiting, but the answer lies in a single question he asked that night. What else can I do?